Welcome to a new video where we dive into some of the strangest and most fascinating historical stories. Today, we'll tell you an unbelievable tale from the reign of one of history's greatest military leaders, Napoleon Bonaparte. Despite all his victories and his vast rule over Europe, Napoleon wasn't immune to some bizarre surprises. What happened when Napoleon decided to celebrate his great triumph in battle, but instead of facing his generals and armies, he found himself up against an army of rabbits? Yes, rabbits. Stay with us to discover the full story and find out how one of the greatest military leaders in history was defeated by these small creatures. 1. The context: Napoleon's height of power, 1807. In 1807, Napoleon Bonaparte was at the zenith of his power. Having conquered most of Europe through his military genius, he had just secured the Treaty of Tilsit, an agreement between France and Russia that consolidated his position as the ruler of Europe. Napoleon's control extended from Spain to Poland, from Italy to the very heart of Germany, making him the undisputed emperor of Europe. As a man who sought not only military victories but also personal enjoyment, Napoleon enjoyed lavish celebrations and grand events. He was known for his love of hunting, which was both a leisure activity and an important display of masculinity and power. It was during this time that Napoleon decided to organize an extravagant rabbit hunt to celebrate the successful treaty with Russia. 2. The setup: organizing the rabbit hunt. Napoleon gave the task of organizing this hunt to his aide-de-camp, Charles Trenac, who was responsible for coordinating the details. Trenac set out to acquire a large number of rabbits for the event. However, a critical mistake occurred in the planning stages. Trenac ordered domesticated rabbits instead of wild ones. Domesticated rabbits are accustomed to human interaction and are not naturally inclined to flee from humans, unlike wild rabbits, who are fearful of humans and run at the first sign of danger. This detail would later cause one of the most bizarre and comical incidents in military history. Trenac, not realizing the difference, purchased over 3,000 rabbits from local farms. The rabbits were then released into the hunting grounds to be chased by Napoleon, his generals, and various other dignitaries who had gathered for the event. The hunt was meant to be an easy and enjoyable affair, an afternoon of leisure to celebrate Napoleon's recent diplomatic victory. 3. The hunt begins: the unexpected and the chaos. The day of the hunt arrived, and Napoleon, along with his military officers and other important figures, gathered in the open fields outside the palace to begin the festivities. They were prepared for a grand and relaxing day of hunting. The rabbits, which were supposed to scatter upon release, instead stood still, confused for a moment before charging straight at the humans. The moment the rabbits were released, it became immediately apparent that something was wrong. The animals, instead of fleeing into the wild, charged toward Napoleon and his men. Thousands of rabbits, sensing the presence of humans, swarmed toward them. The spectacle was utterly absurd. Rather than chasing after the rabbits, Napoleon and his entourage found themselves under siege by the very creatures they had intended to hunt. The soldiers, unaccustomed to such an attack, were stunned at first. The rabbits were hopping over their legs, climbing on their boots, and even jumping onto their laps. At one point, the officers were forced to retreat and attempt to fend off the swarm of furry animals. Some of them tried to push the rabbits away using sticks, but this proved to be utterly ineffective. Others resorted to using their rifles, but shooting the rabbits was both impractical and unproductive, as the animals were swarming too quickly for any precision. Napoleon, who had been observing the situation with a mix of amusement and frustration, soon found himself overwhelmed by the horde of rabbits. The soldiers, who were used to facing armies on the battlefield, found themselves powerless against a much smaller but far more relentless foe. As the rabbits continued to charge, Napoleon retreated into his carriage for safety. 4. Napoleon's reaction: amusement and embarrassment. What should have been a relaxing and entertaining day quickly became a nightmare for the emperor. His generals, too, were forced to retreat, and many of them found themselves trapped in the middle of the rabbit swarm. The situation, however, had an unexpected twist. Napoleon, known for his stern military discipline, found himself laughing at the absurdity of the moment. Despite the chaos around him, Napoleon managed to retain his sense of humor. It is said that he even laughed at the ridiculousness of the situation and made light of being defeated by rabbits. Napoleon was known for his quick wit and sharp tongue, and while the hunt was a failure, his response was more pragmatic than furious. The event became a story that, despite being embarrassing, he himself could later joke about. Napoleon's generals and aides, too, couldn't help but laugh at the bizarre spectacle. The humiliation was real, but it was also a moment of levity in an otherwise intense and tense era. Napoleon, the man who had defeated entire nations on the battlefield, was now surrounded and defeated by an army of small, hungry rabbits. 5. The Legacy, a humorous footnote in history. In the days following the event, the battle with the rabbits became a popular topic of discussion among the soldiers and members of Napoleon's court. News of the bizarre hunting disaster quickly spread, and the tale became one of the most talked about events of the time. Napoleon, however, was not the kind of man to let an embarrassing incident like this ruin his reputation. Instead of retreating further into humiliation, Napoleon took the event in stride, allowing it to become a humorous anecdote. The story was often retold by his soldiers and aides, adding to Napoleon's somewhat light-hearted, self-deprecating image in the eyes of the public. The absurdity of the Battle of the Rabbits served as a reminder that even the most carefully planned events can go awry in the most unexpected ways. Despite the laughter and jokes that followed, the episode didn't have any lasting impact on Napoleon's leadership or his military career. His image as a fearless conqueror remained intact, but the tale of the rabbits added an odd, almost comical layer to his legacy. 6. Details of the aftermath, the cultural impact. The Battle of the Rabbits remained part of Napoleon's folklore, and for years, it was a subject of mockery and amusement in both military circles and the public at large. The event became a symbol of how even the most powerful people could be humbled by the trivial or the unexpected. For Napoleon's contemporaries, the event was a vivid reminder of the unpredictability of life. A military genius, capable of winning monumental battles and altering the course of history, could be defeated by something as simple as a horde of rabbits. This bizarre episode is often cited as a way of showing the humanity behind even the greatest figures of history, as it highlighted how even the emperor could be humbled by an unexpected situation. This story has lived on in popular culture, often referenced in discussions about Napoleon's legacy. The Battle of the Rabbits has become a metaphor for situations where things go hilariously wrong despite preparation and effort, and it remains one of the most humorous historical anecdotes associated with Napoleon. That was one of the strangest stories from the life of Napoleon Bonaparte, and it shows us that even the greatest leaders can face unexpected situations, and sometimes, even the biggest plans can fail when rabbits are on the opposing side. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell to stay updated with all our new content. Share with us in the comments, what's the strangest event you've ever heard of in history? Thanks for watching, and we hope you enjoyed this humorous addition to Napoleon's legacy.